Right, we need to get in there. It's that third shipping container. The brambles and things in the way. Right, it's taken half an hour to here, so we've still got a fair bit more to clear out the way so we can get in there and work. The trouble with these things is if you don't clear a big enough area, the thorns drop off and get in your boot or stick in your so they just snap off. This is anything, or they fall in your shoe and then they're stuck in your foot. So to clear more really. We'll find out when this freezer's running up just under freezing. Usually one's 22 or something. Right, got the path cleared through now. Still got a branch in there somewhere. See what that's gone to. Got the steps out here. See what we can find. There's going to be a gas leak. Sounds like the compressor's running. Right, we've got the cover off. It's just two screws. The bottom, two at the top, and the cover just slides outwards out of these sort of grooves. That's where that branch has come up. I'm withered about. So that's red hot. We didn't want to feel that being red hot. We were hoping that was going to be stone cold. If that was cold, we'd know the compressor wasn't working. And if the compressor wasn't working, we might have been lucky that it was an electrical problem, whereas now it's looking more like a gas problem. Let's get some gauges on there. Right, put the gauges on, and that is, it's going to focus. That is a slight vacuum. It's about 10 inches of mercury. That tells us the leak is probably on the high side. Because what it'll do is it'll pull the low side down into a vacuum, and the high side will be up about 0. And then when it equalises, the whole system's in the vacuum. This looks a bit oily on here, so that's suspect. So I think we'll get the another port on the high side and put some nitrogen in, see if we can find anything. The favourite place for these is in this little tank here at the back, where the condensate water goes and the pipe rots out. If it's in there and it's in a vacuum, it's going to have pulled a load of water in. So we might end up with saying this is scrap if it's done that. Be more trouble than it's worth trying to dry it out. This has a slight green look, so it might even be leak spray left on there from when I was last out to it. A few years ago we had a leak on the suction Schrader, I think it was. Right, we've gone all over it with a leak detector. Nothing really. Well, the only thing we do get is a very slight beep on that little water tank. So there's nothing to say, it might be temperature dependent or something. Anyway, I've bumped the pressure up now to 420 pounds, which is just high enough for the high pressure switch to click. So we're going to leave that sit for a bit. And see if anything develops. Right, we've been all over the outside unit and can't find anything definite. It's a capillary tube system. We've got 2 capillaries coming in. They come in up here, and they wrap around the accumulator on the suction, or the little heat exchanger, or whatever it is. Then they go up into here, and drop down to the distributor, and that is where the hot gas comes in from the defrost. Hot gas pipe comes in at the top, comes down, runs all over the bottom of the drain pan first, then comes up to here, and then it'll go down through the distributors, and that's how it defrosts it. I mean, that looks wet, but it's not really, I don't think. I don't know. I've been all over it with a leak detector. In fact, the battery's gone flat on one of them. There's no power here, so I've got it charging up off the cigarette lighter. Let's put it down. And we're losing about 1 psi every minute, so it's a pretty big leak. And it's all these sort of places where they could have been rubbing. But again, at that sort of size, you'd almost think you could hear it, but I can't hear a thing. That's one of the reasons I don't like these packaged things. It's not the first time I've had this sort of leak on these things. It's probably in that little drain pan outside, but it's just not showing. We've gone all over the drain heater under there, the detector. I've had it on charge in the van for an hour because the battery had gone flat. I mean, these all look brand new, which is because it's a freezer room. There's not really any fumes in there to corrode the pipes. If it's a chiller, then it probably looks a lot more tarnished. It's all aluminium and copper. Aluminium housing, copper pipes, aluminium fins. So it's not like you've got the steel end plates, which quite often go rusty and cause problems. Let's move it over there. A torch over there. Squeeze in the gap. These look a bit more discoloured, but I think that's more the brazing process in the factory where the U-bends have been put in. I've also been all over this with a leak spray. Not really seen anything. I've gone over it with the other detector as well, which is not as good as this one. That was beeping in here, but I think that's just the other one. If you've got it on for a while, it starts off all right, and it just, even if you just left it, you know, miles away from anything that could leak, it just starts beeping after a while when it's been on. You might need a new sensor in it or something. But it was never that good compared to this one. Well, this all, it's not even anything thinking about beeping in here. So put that back together, and then the pipework just goes through this leg, and then just the other side of the wall is the outside unit. It all comes as one piece. You just cut a hole in the wall and slide it in. That's probably the back wall of the unit. Put it all back together, unless it's got a split in here or something, but that all looks more like condensation rather than oil. But it would have come out wherever it is here. Maybe we'll get the detector on there again. Let's fire that back up. We'll just give that a little go around there. There we go, we lost 55 psi in an hour and a quarter. And we've been all over the outside unit, just been all over the evaporator. Let's fire this up again. Took me an hour to cut through all the undergrowth. It's turning into one of them jobs. It takes a while to wake up. I've got a feeling, thinking about it, I think you can put ordinary batteries in there, so I might, if this goes flat again, I'll have a look. I think it might take a couple of C cells or something. And this is where I think it is. I'm not picking anything up in there. Well, it was earlier, and then we were picking something up around this. These are known for leaking. There's a bad batch of them. They had a load of Chinese O-rings in there, and they weren't made right. It's quite cold here at the moment, so it could be if it warmed up it'd start leaking. It might be one of them temperature dependent things. But I mean, to lose 55 psi, a pound a minute, is a good size leak. You would think you'd be able to find it. And it would point to being on the high side anyway, with it being in the vacuum when we got here. The only way you can get it into a vacuum, and well, you won't on the low side. If there's a leak on the low side, it would have been sucking air in. So if it's a leak on the high side, it'll push it. Right, that is the old heating loop. It's a bit worse for wear, so it may have been leaking. I couldn't see anything for sure. And again, that solenoid, we had bubbles around it and then they stopped, but it's so cold here, that might have been leaking, so I'm going to change that. And I'm bypassing that loop and making up a little bit of pipe. I've got a loop in it to take some of the vibration out of the compressor. It'll fit in there and on the discharge, and then it'll go up to there. And we'll change that, and then we'll put it on pressure test again. Keep my fingers crossed. I might even put some of that leak dye in this as well, just for belts and braces approach. Right, we've got that pipe brazed in there. New discharge one, and the new solenoid. Put on pressure test. It's now losing 0.1 psi a minute. It's supposed to be 1 psi a minute, so it's a tenth of what it was. And just at the bottom of that cap on the crankcase pressure regulating valve is a leak. I've tweaked it up tighter and it's still leaking, so we're going to take it off and see if we've got an O-ring the right size. Right, it's all back together. Don't know what time it is. It's been dark for blooming ages. Fucking heap of shit. So we've got a new solenoid, bypass that. I've put a glow stick dye in there as well, because I have my doubts. Plus it's bound to leak again in the near future. It's not as naughty, I was wrong, it's a Rivacold. I would say they're marginally better. Because a lot of the Zanottis are condensers at the bottom, fans at the top, and you can't run them with the cover off. And yet the connections are inside. So work that one out. Just wait for it to start up now. It's down to -4. Should be around -8. leaks here. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't leaking. And the solenoid was we had a few bubbles coming off of it, and then we had some bubbles coming around the suction